Hi guys, thanks for joining me. I'm Chris Ashley with Brothers of Woods Outdoors. What I want to do today is go over the simple steps that I follow to help ensure a successful fall food plot. Now for me, one of the things I like to do is I like to have brassicas in each of my food plots. But it's not recommended that you plant brassicas in the same soil year after year. So to address that, what I've done is I've started taking my 1 acre food plots and I split them in half. Half I do in cereal grains and the other half in brassicas. And what I do is I rotate that planting each year. And that way I'm not planting brassicas consecutively in the same area year after year. So what I want to do is go ahead and get started and show you the simple steps that I follow. So let's do that right now. Number one thing before starting a food plot is make sure you collect a soil sample. After you get your soil sample results, follow the recommendations for your application rates. If you can only choose or afford to do lime or fertilizer, make sure you do the lime. It'll have the greatest impact. I like to use a glyphosate herbicide application on my food plots. I try to do that anywhere from a month to a month and a half in advance, so that if I find on the first spraying that I've missed some areas or there's still some active growth, I have time for a second application before it's time for my planting date. For the fertilizer, I again follow the application rates recommended for my soil sample. I like to spread it at the time of the planting so that I can spread it and then till it into the soil. To prepare the soil for planting, I like to use a tiller. It sets it up to where I don't have to do near as many passes as I would for a disc, let's say, and does a great job of busting the clods up in the dirt into just a very fine composition. To prepare the seed bed, what I like to do is drag a skid with a little bit of weight on it behind the four-wheeler. Alright guys, so now what I'm going to do is go over just some of the seeds that I'm going to be using today. So I just got done dragging it, and again, part of what I like to do when I drag that, especially with the skid and a little bit of a weight or block on top of it, is one, it smooths it up. Any little troughs or gaps where there's tire tracks from the tractor or the tiller where it's been turning, any unevenness, I'm able to smooth that all up. It also just lightly compacts it, just makes it a little bit more firm seed bed. And then it just makes everything a little bit cleaner, smoother, gives a nicer seed bed for that seed to rest in. And then that sets me up too when I go to drag, that I'm not necessarily dragging over any holes, humps, troughs, or whatever, and when I drag dirt over it, it makes it too deep to where the seed doesn't have enough energy to come up through. So now it's a nice even seed bed, and when I do drag, I'm just lightly dragging some over and just again making it a little bit more firm, ensuring that I got good seed soil contact. This season, and I've used it in the past, I really like using it, is Real World Product Seeds. With Don Higgins and his associated company. So what I have here is the plot topper. These jugs cover 1/2 acre. And then I have the larger bag here of the harvest salad. That's the cereal grains and Austrian winter peas. And as I told you, what I'm going to plan on doing is having my brassicas next to those fall winter greens. That way I can do every other year rotation. And on this one, as I said, I'm going to go ahead and plant the fall or the harvest salad here at the same time that I do the brassicas, just as a little test to see, does it get too stemmy, does it mature too quickly or not, by doing it during the same time that I'm doing my brassicas. Generally in the past, on some of the blends that I get, I don't normally get quite as much purple top turnips or have as much clover in it as I like. So what I've done in the past is I've bought the Tecumate Turbo turnips, which is their purple top turnips This jug, it's pretty reasonably priced. I've had it now for a few years and it does awesome, but it's a 99.2% attractant turnip. And I normally just go ahead and top off a little bit of my blends with it. And as I said too, I also want to make sure that I have some clover in my blend. Now this here, from Real World Products, it's got 12.25% of Eco-Till radish, 12.25% of the purple head turnips, 12.25% of the Rape Plus, 12.25% of the sugar beets, which aren't going to do anything. If you're going to do sugar beets, you got to plant them way earlier than what I am, so that's just fluff. 12.25% of the forage collards, same for impact forage collards, same for crimson clover, and same for oilseed radish. So as you see here, about 12.25% of it is the crimson clover. But what I do is, like I said, I like to have a little bit more in that blend, especially too, I'm going to make sure that I'm giving them plenty of room to grow. As far as the brassicas, is I'll go ahead and just put a little bit of additional clover in each one of my broadcasts that I use with the Earthway spreader, just to, again, make sure that I have a little bit more clover come up in the spring. And generally too, what I'll do is come in and frost seed also come early spring when we still have some frost to give me a little bit extra clover. So stick with me. We'll go ahead now and spread some of the seed. When spreading the seed, I like to go in, let's say, a north-south direction to make sure I get full coverage, and then I'll follow it up with an east-west direction as well, so I get that crisscross pattern. It helps to make sure that I got a good uniform distribution of seed across the whole plot. Seeding's another great opportunity to be able to let the kids get involved and feel like they're contributing to the food plot. After spreading the seed, I again like to go ahead and drag the food plot just to help ensure seed to soil contact, and also to provide a little bit of dirt covering over the brassicas, and especially the cereal grains that need to be a little bit deeper than the small sized brassicas. About 3 weeks after germination of your brassicas, apply 75 to 100 pounds per acre of urea, roughly when your plants are anywhere from 4 to 8 inches tall. Make sure you do this right before a rain to prevent urea from being evaporated off and lost fertilizer. Well guys, I hope that you found this video useful. I did have some learnings and takeaways that I'd like to share with you. One is that my cereal grains were really targeted early season by the deer, so much that it was difficult for it to really get fully established. I did have great germination, it did come in nice, but they just kept it ate down to almost the bare dirt. So one of the things that I did do is I came back in a few weeks later after I had saw that it was really being targeted, and I overseeded it with winter rye. Now I think what I'll end up doing this coming season is, again, I'll do the rotation between the brassicas and the cereal grains. I'll probably increase my seeding rate on the cereal grains, but I plan on following it up probably a few weeks later after initial planting and overseeding it with either winter rye or, again, some additional cereal grain blend. And then I'll see how that goes and determine whether I need to go in with another overseeding or not. But it was successful from the standpoint that it really brought the deer in. They really targeted the cereal grains. It allowed my brassicas to establish, and I had a beautiful brassica plot. Roughly the end of December, pretty much everything was ate down to almost just the dirt, and they were coming in at that point, especially December, January, and targeting the bulbs and really digging and rooting up through the soil to pull up the purple top turnips and the radishes. So I just want to say, for Brothers of the Woods Outdoors, thanks for watching the video. If you like the video, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, check out all of our social media platforms, and we'll see you on our next video.